Mary, thank you so much for doing this. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
As I said to you a minute ago, there's nobody I'd want to sip wine with in the morning more than Mary J. Blige.
Thank you.
So tell me about Sun Goddess. That's your wine.
Yes.
When did you get into the wine business? How did it come together for you?
Well, I got into the wine business about 3 years ago. I was on tour with Maxwell, and we were out at dinner, and Maxwell had some of his Italian friends with him. Maxwell has a lot of friends, and he had his Italian friends with him that day. And I was just drinking white wine the whole time. And one of them asked me, why don't you do a white wine? And I just blurted out, yeah, I should, because I love it so much. And if I love something, I feel like, my fans and people, women love wine. I love wine. So I felt like it was a no-brainer. It wasn't something that I was thinking about all my life or planned. It just happened on the spot. And the person that asked me happened to be Marco Fontanelle from Fontanelle Wineries. Before you knew it, I think it was like a month later, we flew into Friuli, Italy. We touched down to Marco's property, which was the winery. We started tasting wines out of these brown barrels and probably had like 10 glasses of tasting of what I wanted the wine to taste like. And then he had like a little dinner later, and we went up there and had some dinner. The next day, we went up to the vineyards. He showed me what grapes were Sauvignon Blanc grapes, and he showed me what grapes were Pinot Grigio grapes, and he showed me where the wine was going to be made and where it was going to be bottled and all that stuff. So it was a lot of history of, how wines were made. And then the next day, it was the food pairing with the wines, and that was a lot of fun because I love food. So, and the rest is history now. You're going to ask me about the name, right?
Yeah, Sun Goddess. Where does it come from?
Well, I've loved the sun so much since I was a little girl. I stay in the sun, hang in the sun, go down south. My grandmother's yelling at me, get out of the sun, Mary. And when I got older, now I do the same thing. So I go away with my sister to an island, and she'll like, it's too hot. I can't hang in the sun with you no more, Sun Goddess. It's too hot. So my sister actually gave me the name. I'm the Sun Goddess, and I gave it to the wine because wine is warm. It changes the mood. It makes you happy. It makes you feel good. It makes you blush. It gives you and so is the sun. The sun is the same thing.
It makes sense when you put it that way. I mean, we all like wine. We all like to have a drink. But for the rest of us, there's a big distance between I like wine to I'm going to have my own wine. So what did you have to do to actually make this come to life? Were you like tasting the different grapes and figuring out how exactly you wanted your own wine to taste?
Well, when I touched down in Friuli, Italy, I started tasting. We went in. Marco brought us into his property was the winery, and he brought us into I guess where all the barrels are, where the different wines are, and we was tasting different wines from out of the barrels. And so I would taste what a Pinot Grigio is or a Sauvignon Blanc is, and I didn't know which was which. But Marco would say, okay, that's a Sauvignon Blanc or that's a Pinot Grigio. And the rosé came later. I didn't even know I was going to do a rosé because I was just trying to do a Pinot Grigio.
Right.
But turns out that the Pinot Grigio grape is red. So he used the skin as well as the grape. So I thought the Pinot Grigio grape was white because the Pinot Grigio is always white.
Right.
So that was one part of it. And then when I came back to the States, he would send different, bottles to taste, to taste to see which one I liked the best. So I tasted, for years, about 3 years. And finally we got the right one. And here we are.
And what did people around you say when you went to them, whether it was people in your family or a business manager, whoever said, I'm going to start my own line of wine? What was their reaction?
You know what? I really didn't tell my family or anyone because I don't tell my business until it's really happening. When you start to see press for it, then you know it happened. But my business managers and my lawyers and everybody that were involved, they don't ask questions. They were like, okay, cool, we're going to do whatever you want us to do. So they were fine with it. And then when it hit and I started sharing it with my family and my friends, they were losing their minds, just like I'm losing my mind.
Is there the branding? I was telling you, my wife works in the business. She thought the logo looked so good. The name plus the logo. Did you have input on that, down to that, to say, this is who I am, this is what I want it to be?
Absolutely. First, as far as the logo is concerned and what the bottle looked like, we had a different one. And I was like, I don't like that one. That one is not gender friendly. It's not, everyone's not going to drink it because of what the bottle looks like. So I came up with, a way that everyone could share it. Like men would feel comfortable drinking it. Women, of course we're going to feel comfortable drinking it because it's me. But men will feel comfortable drinking it. Everybody's going to feel comfortable drinking it. It doesn't look like just a woman's wine. It looks like wine for people.
Yeah, there's no question about it. I have to tell you, despite the hour of the day, I've poured a glass of each. So if I take a sip first of the Sauvignon Blanc, do you want to tell me a little bit about what I'm tasting?
I believe that you're tasting a Sauvignon Blanc grape, spicy, spicy yellow bell pepper.
Bell pepper. Wow.
Yeah, bell pepper. That's what's in that one. So and some earthy notes or something like that.
Yeah, it's really good.
That's what's in that one.
Okay, now here's the Pinot Grigio. Ready? All right, let's see how we do on this one. It's good, especially on a hot summer day like this. This is it. This is perfect.
Yeah, the Pinot Grigio is nice.
So do you have a favorite between the two?
Yes, the Pinot Grigio.
Yeah,
I love them both. I love them both, but the Pinot Grigio is so lit. It's so beautiful.
Has it been fun for you, Mary, to do something this different from other things that you've done in your career? Obviously, the music and the acting and the other businesses that you've been involved with. This is totally off the board of things you've done before. Was it scary? Was it exciting? What's it been like?
This whole thing has been exciting. Like, there's nothing scary about it. It's just been so creative. Everything from the creating, the bottle label, to the tasting of the wine, to going to see Marco and Friuli, Italy from day one. It's just been all fun and all love, lots of love. I have a new family in Italy now. Marco and his family are we're super close.
And
so
I didn't realize how much time you spent in Italy with the food and the wine, and that was really the birthplace of this. Is this born out of a lot of your travels too, and kind of figuring out what you like?
Well, I love Italy. That's one of my favorite places. Italy, London, and Japan. And of course, the United States of America. But Italy is definitely one of my favorites. The food just tastes like, it's just so explosive to eat a tomato, to eat a piece of cheese. It tastes like, it doesn't taste normal. It tastes like, oh my God, this is the best cheese in the world. This is the best tomato in the world. It just explodes in your mouth. Or this is the best fruit in the world. So, I'm just happy that this came with travel.
Well, congratulations. It's a huge accomplishment to dip into that world and do such a good job on your first effort. I imagine you're probably sipping some of this during quarantine, maybe hanging out around the pool. What has quarantine been like for you?
Quarantine has been a lot of rosé. A lot of Sun Goddess Pinot Grigio Ramato rosé. I love it. My friends love it. My mom love it. And she's very finicky, but she loves, and she doesn't even drink wine. She loves the wine.
And so what's it been like for you these last few months, staying at home as such a creative person who's used to spending her life on the road and making music and singing for her fans? Has it been tough to be kind of locked down like this?
No, it hasn't. I actually enjoyed the rest because I've been going so much, consistently. When we slowed down, I was happy that we slowed down. I would love to be on the road. I wish we could go on the road, but it's not something I'm here like, oh God, am I in quarantine, dying and crying? When I relax, I relax. I love to relax. I love to sleep. I love to eat as much as I love to work. So I was actually cool, and it gets a little bit, sometimes like, gosh, this is sad. This is sad. You can't leave. You can't go anywhere. But I just learned to just be grateful for what I have, and that's the time off.
So, Mary, have you had time to work on any music during quarantine? A lot of people are talking about, I've got all this time. I'm going to write an album. I'm going to write a book, whatever creative people are thinking about. Have you thought about your own music or just taken a break from it?
Well, I've had a lot of music already completed before quarantine, like new music you'll soon hear. But I've been writing a lot just about life, about myself, about the quarantine, about what people are going through, just about everything that happened, during this whole thing, and just writing, just anything that comes to mind. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and grab my phone and type in my notes, So I got a lot of stuff, to say and a lot of stuff to sing.
Does that mean there'll be a new album coming?
Definitely be a new album coming.
Sometime after this, sometime soon, you think?
sometime soon, but I can't give you a date.
Right. Okay. No, that's fair.
You'll
And I heard you said you were listening to a bunch of like throwback music too, which I think we're all tapping into that nostalgia of the music that we loved in a time that kind of puts us at peace. What kind of music have you been listening to during quarantine?
Man, I've been listening to, and this is what I normally do too, but quarantine just made me really dig into it. And I think quarantine really made me dig into a lot of jazz as well, and a lot of just old R&B that's not so much singing, but like a lot of instrumentals, like a lot of Roy Ayers, a lot of Kool and the Gang, Summer Madness, and a lot of live bands, stuff, and then a lot of just beautiful, 80s, 90s R&B, and then of course 2000 is great, but I kind of, that's where I get the feeling in my stomach from, the nostalgia,
Yeah.
the warmth,
Yeah. How about the new stuff? Are you a fan of any of these newer artists that have sort of stand on your shoulders and followed in your footsteps? Do you have any favorites?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I love Rihanna. I love Beyonce. I love Janelle Aiko. I love Summer. I forget her last name. But anyway, I love her. And I love all the rap. I love everything. I'm not I don't discriminate. I just go to the things that make me feel warm and make me feel comfortable, and the things that make, calm the savage beast in me when the beast rises up.
Yes.
And so, the stuff is great that everybody's doing. Oh, and I love Ella May. I love her. Yeah, some good stuff out here. Some really, really great stuff from the new generations. Yeah.
Is it cool for you to hear young artists like that say Mary J. Blige was one of my inspirations? How does that make you feel when you hear that?
So good. It makes me feel so good because you just, it's just good to know that people like you still. You know what I mean? You still have fans from another generation, that people are doing great things in a new generation, and they're paying homage to you. So it feels good. I'm flattered. I'm honored. I'm thankful.
We also got to talk about your acting. Power Book 2 Ghost, where you play Monet. It's an amazing character.
Thank you.
How did you get involved in that show? I know you were a fan, of course, of Power. How did this role come up for you?
Well, 50 and I are friends. I never met Courtney before, but I had some ideas of my own, my production company, and we wanted to meet with them about that. And then they wanted to meet with us about her, Monet. So it just all worked. And so when we got in the meetings, Courtney went right in. Who are your friends? Did you know this character? I absolutely knew this character. I grew up with this character. She was my friend. 50, he wanted it to happen. Everybody wanted it to happen. And this is why it's here. It's here because they wanted it and I wanted it.
What do you like about Monet? How do you describe her to people?
What I love about Monet is that she's a survivor. She's a boss. She's a boss. And like most mothers, most single parent mothers, especially single parent mothers, they have to do everything. They have to be the man, the woman, everybody. And protect their kids, protect their legacy, protect their finances. And what makes them ruthless and murderers is that no one's going to hurt their children. So I know that woman. My mom's is that woman. All my friends are that woman. Pretty much every woman I know is Monet. Not everybody's a murderer, but who knows?
You never know, right? You never know.
Yeah,
so for people who don't know, Power Book 2 picks up basically after the Power finale, which was shocking to a lot of people. So for fans of Power, how does Monet plug into the storyline here? What's her role? Well,
Monet's role is Tariq has to tutor a young man that's going to college. He's a basketball player. He has a scholarship. And in order for Tariq to stay in school, he has to tutor this guy. And this guy is Monet's nephew.
Right.
So Tariq ends up becoming friends with Zeke, who's Monet's nephew. And Monet is, all family, all celebration. Zeke, he invites Tariq to this party, and there's a big celebration. And of course, Monet is introduced through that celebration because it's some real bad stuff going on. Mm-hmm. Her kids are doing the most, and so Zeke ends up being friends with Tariq, and the rest is Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Tariq, okay, we got to watch him, or we got to use him, or whatever we got to do. That's how Monet is thinking.
Right. Yeah. People just have to watch to see the ... what comes after that.
Yes.
Do you like acting this way, Mary J? I mean, it's like you've accomplished so much as an artist, and of course you've been an actor before. But how much do you like acting, and how different of an experience is it for you than going out and standing on that stage?
I like it. I like acting because it's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. Like singing is what I do. It's easy. It's like playing basketball to Jordan. It's like, whatever. But not whatever. It's just easy. But this is a challenge because this is some work.
Yeah.
This is some work. Yeah.
But I think people would think the opposite. An actor would think, "Oh, I can't do what she does up on that stage." So I guess it's the thing you're less familiar with. Looks like the challenge, right?
Yeah. And it gets harder. It gets easier, but it gets harder when you want to get better.
Right. Right. There's also, Mary, word about this Amazon documentary you're working on. I know it's kind of down the road a little bit for you, and you're shooting it right now. But a lot of people know your story. I don't know if everyone knows every detail of your story, but what was it like to start to think about that with Sean Combs, who you've worked with from the beginning on different projects, and kind of sit down and talk through your life? Some of it great, the highest peaks, and some of it the lowest lows, as you've talked about before. What was it like to sit and talk through that?
Well, this is not a biopic. This is about the album My Life, which is
Right.
a classic, which is my second album. And it's what started the movement between me and my fans and I. It's so much to talk about because you do have to go back to my childhood. You do have to go back. You have to, go into my life, and you have to go into my fans' life because there's a lot of testimonials from them as well. And then it's a live performances. And then there's a lot of, interviews with me, and it's a lot of heavy stuff there too, because this album was probably, I felt like I was at one of the lowest points in my life as a young, woman. And I survived it. But the beauty of it is we all survived it, the fans, all of us. And when I put the album out in 1994, I had no idea that so many people were suffering like me. I thought I was the only one going through all the hell that I was going through. And 4 million people went out and purchased the album and told me, well, Mary, we're going through it too.
Yeah.
And whatever you want, we want. You want to be happy, we want to be happy. You want joy, we want joy. You're the only woman. Yes, we're the only woman too. So the album is a classic to so many people, and it's what started the movement.
There's no question.
And that's
about
why
it.
that's what the documentary is about, and how Puff who believed in me more than I believed in myself, to even get me to that point.
I think a lot of people would be surprised to hear, because you're coming off What's the 411, which goes like triple platinum your first time out and becomes this iconic album, that you were in a low point in your life for My Life. How do you explain that level of success but still feeling the way you felt?
I mean, that was hard because success is when you can really be happy from the inside out. I wasn't happy, and I was successful with all these things and all this stuff and all these accolades. I couldn't even enjoy it because I was too busy trying to numb myself out of it, trying to get out of it, trying to do anything, that I could to get out, to not feel the depression, to not feel the insecurity, there's a lot of insecurity, a lot of depression. So yeah, that was a lot. And it wasn't a good feeling, a lot of it. But I tried to have some good days as much as I could. But the truth of the matter was I had to learn how to love myself in order to really have some good days.
I was telling you before we started how much your first album meant to me personally. It was the soundtrack for our high school years, and it was such a big deal. And I was looking back, and I forgot you were only 21 years old when that album came out. So you went from unknown to this album that just blew up. So it almost makes sense. How could anyone be ready for what came for you? How could you handle that? Do you remember that transition from Nobody Knows My Name or My Face to Everybody Knows My Name and My Face in the space of a few months?
I mean, it was crazy because the only thing on my mind when What's the 411 came out was getting my family out the projects, making my mother happy, making sure she never had to work again. So that's the only thing I was thinking about was survival, 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 survival. So I couldn't really enjoy, but I tried as much as I could, to do whatever I needed to do. And the feeling was just, It was like I didn't know I did something great until like maybe recently in my life. You know, I didn't know what I did. I didn't know I started a whole nother genre of music. Puff and I have started a whole nother genre of music. I didn't know I made history until like later in my life. I didn't know that then. I didn't know. If I knew then what I know now, I probably wouldn't even be here now because I'd be such an asshole then. For real, and so now I'm glad I figured it out now because there's a way more humility.
Yeah, you don't want to know you changed music when you're 21 years old. You're right.
No, you don't even know how to handle that.
Well, I'm so happy I get to sit here and get a chance to thank you for that because that music meant so much. I made that mixtape for my high school girlfriend, and she's in the house behind me. She's my wife and the mother of my children. So we owe you a big one, Mary. Thank you.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you.
Last thing, and then I'll let you go. Respect. You're in the film Respect, playing Dinah Washington.
Yes.
Jennifer Hudson's playing Aretha Franklin. I interviewed her and talked to her about that a couple of months ago. She said it was going to be amazing. She's thrilled. What was it like to play such a big character in Dinah Washington in that film?
It was amazing. It was another powerful woman moment. Just, I don't even know these women were so cold and crazy. I don't want to say crazy. Let's pull that back. But just like, you know, they weren't having it. They had to survive. So if anybody got in their way, like if Aretha got in Dinah's way, it was like, what are you doing? It felt so good to just be that character.
Was it fun to step back in time, go back to the 1950s and 60s and be that kind of woman?
It's always fun to step back into the 1950s. The hair, the outfits, the makeup, the way you move, the way you know, because they didn't move like us. We moved like this. They moved like this, and was talking all kind of junk and slitting their husbands' throats. They were very ladylike.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it was a different time. Well, thank you so much for the time today, Mary. It was great to talk to you, and congratulations again. We can finish off this bottle now together, okay?
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
I'm so glad you love it. You're welcome.